The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Hello superstars, and welcome back to Federation Television. It is May the 13th and it's a wonderful Tuesday. There's been some major climate change news from around the planet Earth, and I'm sure on your television sets, wherever you may be, are seeing some amazing pictures from around the world. It's been another big week of climate change events, but to be quite honest, it's no real different from the past 8 years. We've been reporting on some amazing stories which continue to affect the people of Earth, and we can only emphasise that we really must start heading into an environment of preparation. Planet Earth is changing, and we need to change our lifestyles to align ourselves with some level of integrity if we wish to survive into the future. It's going to be an absolute cracker. Speaking of crackers, let's look at some of the events that are going on around the planet Earth before we jump into the 7.9 earthquake that's affected the southwest region of China. Don't forget the biggest news story of the week being that cyclone-ravaged region of Burma. Cyclone Nagri just has gone in there and made an absolute mess. But our accommodation, the way that we live, really needs to be looked at if we're going to consider surviving these kind of events in the future. At this stage, over 100,000 people have been presumed dead, and this figure could rise to around about 1.5 million if water and the provisions of sanitation are not supplied. Unfortunately, the Burmese government still is denying access to some international aid efforts. Heading over to southwest China, as we said this morning, a 7.9 earthquake, which has been one of the most significant natural disasters to hit China in about 32 years. Over 110,000 residents in a province called Wenchuan are still unaccounted for, and there's been no communication since the actual earthquake. At this stage, 10,000 fatalities have been recorded, and as I just said, an unknown amount could occur obviously in the next couple of hours as people and rescue workers sift through the rubble. That's a 7.9 earthquake. It's the biggest for 2008. The biggest previous earthquake for 2008 was only last Friday, 6.7 in Guam. For any of those superstars out there who've had their ear to the ground and a bit more conscious than the average Joe Bob out there, you'll understand that the frequency and intensity of earthquakes have been increasing right around the planet Earth. Volcanic activity has also been increasing. We've seen eruptions in the past week on Italy's beautiful volcano Mount Etna, positioned there in Sicily. Today she's actually fairly quiet, but we will remind you these are very active regions around the planet Earth, and any of these babies giving a bit of activity will certainly wake up the neighbours. In Chile, experts have now vacated a 30-mile radius around the SHAMAN volcano, which has literally been blowing up since last Friday. And over in Hawaii, Mauna Loa, she's an absolute cracker. She's the tallest mountain, the biggest thing that we have on this planet Earth. She's bigger than Mount Everest, and I can guarantee there'll be more than fireworks if she decides to blow her lid. Scientists aren't too concerned this week about the activity at Mauna Loa, but residents are, stating they're still sensing some very unusual characteristics of the mountain, including white, milky, like smoke or steam, which is engulfing infrastructure and burning it actually on site. Jumping over to the States, since January 1, more than 800 reports of tornadoes nationwide have been recorded, which is obviously well above the 3-year average. In Afghanistan, just finally, there's heaps of news on millicom.com. The people of Afghanistan are dealing with an unprecedented locust plague. Some 300 tons of locusts have been killed and been given back to the authorities. It's such a problem, the authorities are giving a reward of wheat for anyone who can remove the problem. Be realistic, demand for the impossible. That would have to be the comment of the day, I reckon. Climate change events continue around the planet Earth, and put all this news into positive action and make sure that you start preparing for a very active future on the planet Earth. We will remind you that there are craft, extraterrestrial vehicles in the planet's atmosphere as we speak. So what a future, guys. Put your left, your right speakers on, your subwoofer. You've got widescreen entertainment on the planet Earth. Welcome to a magnificent future. On today's Insight, speaking of magnificent, we're going to one of the great rainbow warriors of our time, a shamanic superstar, none other than John Lennon. Hello superstars, welcome to our insight into the superstar John Lennon. The division of the spiritual from the political has been a great failing of Western society. Where other civilizations have been able to call forth the greatest spiritual minds in times of manifest political crisis, Gandhi amongst the people of South Asia, the Dalai Lama amongst the people of Tibet, just to name a few. And when such giants of faith have appeared, we in the West have not treated them with the respect they ought to have commanded. The Western warriors of faith who walked this earth in the 20th century, people like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and of course, the beautiful, the talented Mr. John Lennon. There has always been a need for the shaman, but now, more than ever, our society is losing touch with our greater purpose. Unfortunately, rather than embracing the shamanic message, our society seeks to suppress it, and those who would delve into those realms beyond social control. Perhaps there is an intuition amongst the powerful that their power is based upon maintaining a false illusion about nature of reality. The shamanic message shatters this illusion and therefore is seen as a threat. Mind control has become a very important tool to keep the masses productively in the system. The shamanic tradition releases those mental and cultural bonds we acquire, allowing us to see our own true nature freed from cultural programming. Despite political, moral and legal pressures, modern society has produced a number of shamans who, with the help of psychedelic substances, which are a part of shamanic tradition, have broken through the social program and brought back an important message for those of us with open minds. Many of these shamans have had to go public using modern media to get the message out. The most vocal of these have been vilified by the powers that be in an attempt to squelch their message. While John Lennon might have considered himself foremost an artist and musician, he nevertheless met the criteria of a shaman in today's society. His great influence amongst young people was due to his beautiful, expressive nature. His experience with psychedelics, particularly LSD, changed his view of the world and the way he expressed himself through his music. Not only did he become more experimental and inventive, but his lyrics took on an otherworldly nature. His songs inspired countless thousands to open their minds and experiment and look at the world and change their pattern and become peace-loving people. John was a tireless promoter of the shamanic message of peace, love and understanding. His message reached the far corners of the planet Earth. Now we live at a time when there is a deep need for men and women of all languages, religious beliefs and cultures to look past beyond the convenient illusions produced by modern life and call for a tectonic shift in our attitudes and values. We need a new generation of spiritual warrior who shines amongst the fearful, the anxious, the depressed and the ambivalent and sets an example for others to follow. We need people who have discovered their own path to freedom and who can showcase this lifestyle to others interested in their own freedom. For in the end, a person is only liberated when all others have found the same liberation as well. John Lennon, you're a superstar. We can only hope the people of Earth take heed and listen to your message of peace and love. Mate, may the force be with you. Welcome back, superstars. Tomorrow, join Tommy for another wonderful day here at Earth Sanctuary for a vegetarian, beautiful dish. Once again, get motivated. Federation all around the planet, to Canada, to UK, to the US, to New Zealand, to Australia, throughout Europe. Stay positive.